Akashvani FM Rainbow 101.3 MHz. Musically yours.
Hey, good evening and welcome. It's time for Bangalore Brains. Yes, and today is going to be a slightly different evening. It's going to be musical. It's going to be magical. Lenny Kravitz, he said, music is life. It's a reflection of what I go through. And on Bangalore Brains today, I have a very, very talented musician, a self-taught instrumentalist, a musician, a composer, a music teacher with a similar line that's running in his life at the moment. I have Ravi with me. Ravi, welcome to Bangalore Brains. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Sapna. Namaskar. Good evening, Bangalore.
Well, it's the first time on Bangalore Brains we are featuring a music entrepreneur.
Oh, wow.
Right? All of these days we had technical people who, have products and services. I'm so excited. This is so exciting. And you've come with your harmonica, with your guitar. You've come with Gayatri, your wife. You've come with your daughter. We're going to talk to them soon. But in the meanwhile, I also hear, before you became a full-time musician, you worked in several corporate companies.
That's right.
Right? And you took a leap of faith into music, right?
It appears like a leap of faith, but it requires a lot of planning. It doesn't happen overnight.
Okay.
So I was pretty clear before I started my career that mid-40s, I would like to be doing something independent.
Okay.
To try and explore and discover what else I could do with life.
So all of this was planned? At least when you said you hit your 40s.
Intent has been there.
Okay.
The planning, of course, happens, like you get notions about 5-10 years prior. So then you start, because at different stages in life, you got to prepare people around you also.
Right.
You cannot take the environment by surprise.
Wow.
So,
that's actually, you put a lot of thought into that.
Yeah, it's important.
Are you talking on behalf of your family?
So initially, before you get married, your immediate family are your parents, your brother, sister, and so on. Then once you get married and the family grows, then your responsibilities are to more number of people.
Okay.
And, any decision that an individual takes, if it's going to impact the rest of the family, I think it's good not to have too many surprises.
So how are you swimming in this ocean of music at the for now?
So I do two things. One is I could not afford to simply retire and just immerse myself into whatever I would have loved to do. So the journey started with Raga School of Music, which Gayatri and I founded in 2008. And the idea behind that was, one, teaching helps you improve. So for me, continuous improvement is through the teaching assignments. And the other thing is, it's good fun to be with people who are learning, because they keep you on edge. The questions they ask make you go back and think.
Okay.
So I believe that in the last 10 years that I've been involved in teaching, I've probably improved a lot more than if I had just been practicing all by myself or with other musicians alone,
Fantastic.
So the other thing is also to be practical in a place like Bangalore, you have to be concerned about your revenue streams.
Absolutely.
So teaching also helps me make sure that, at least my monthly, if I may use the term OPEX, is taken care. Okay. The rest are all uncertain and variables, right? So
something that intrigues me a lot is, what is the meaning of a self-taught musician? Which I'm going to ask you right after I take this song break. And I learned to play the trumpet, and I took 4 years just to play one song or something like that. And I was taught and taught and taught. So self-taught is something that I am very, very keen about. We'll take a short musical break and then we'll quiz you more about that.
Sure thing. Yeah.
Right, live in the studios with me is C A Ravi. He is the founder of Medad Media, and he is also a music teacher, a composer, an instrumentalist, a self-taught instrumentalist. Keep it locked. When we come back, we'll be quizzing more about him. Welcome back. The time right now is 6:14 on our studio clocks. And yes, I'm in conversation with C A Ravi. Ravi, we were just talking about what is the meaning of a self-taught instrumentalist or a musician?
So my definition for it is, when you say self-taught, you're basically learning through observation. You learn from many people actually by observing.
Right.
So in my case, my journey started in the mid-70s when an uncle of mine gifted me a harmonica. And, when I reached my hometown and this gift was waiting for me, my elder cousin had already received another harmonica, and he had received it like 1 week before me.
Okay.
That was the time when Sholay had been released, and he was already playing the one of those tracks from that song. So for me, it became like, if he can do it, I should be able to do it.
Wow.
So when he was off to college, I would keep working on it, and I remember it took me about a week to be able to play. I think that song at that time was that Ye Dosthi, that song.
Okay.
So what took me about a week, now I've come across people where in 2 hours they're able to play a basic tune.
Wow.
So I also teach. It's not an easy instrument to teach because you really cannot show a lot of things.
Okay.
Like if it's a guitar or some instrument, you can even show like, place your finger here
Correct.
and do this.
That's right. Yeah, the harmonica has always been a very intriguing instrument for me.
Yes. So
I've tried it a couple of times, and I only get sounds like happy birthday to you. That's about it.
So I can get people started off and make them understand. So my definition for playing an instrument is pretty simplistic. I don't have any formal training in any form of music.
Okay.
Which sometimes personally I feel I don't have constraints. I don't have any boxes for me to be,
Yes.
Though I don't believe that people who are formally trained are within boxes. That's not the point. My point is, there's a bit of that fearlessness in it.
Yes.
I'm not, what is somebody going to feel if I play this raga or this tune wrong? And I don't have those inhibitions.
Okay. So you can actually pick up any instrument and then you can just play something on it? Give it a try?
I believe so. At the cost of sounding pompous, but I believe anybody can. It's not just me.
Yes.
So my definition is, the approach is you need to understand how to produce a sound, how to change the sound. And thereafter, your ability to master the instrument boils down to how quickly and at will you can do these two things.
Okay.
Then the music in you has to be articulated through this process. Right? So for me, again, a simplistic definition of music itself is it's sound, silence, but both of these controlled with certain timing aspects to it, the tal.
Wow.
So if you have a good set of notes, but then you produce this without a proper tal, it's not going to be music. At the same time, you take some random notes and play with proper tal, it may not sound like music. Right? And a continuous sound is probably closer to a siren.
Right.
So silence also is very much part of music.
Yes.
So I kind of work with these simple definitions.
Okay.
I don't know whether I'm right or wrong.
So just for our listeners, if there were any parameters for me to check if I am an inherent musician, is there some way that I can check that on myself?
Again, through observation, I believe that when you listen to somebody singing or a piece of music, even though you've not heard that song or tune before, if you can spot a mistake or something that does not sound like it belongs, I would say then you have music sense.
Okay, all right. I'm going to check that next time. Now, since you already have your harmonica out, would you play something for us, please?
So I'll play this old track called Janeman Janeman. I don't play this instrument much.
Okay.
Though I started with this.
Right.
So I'll probably pull up some of the oldies.
Fantastic, please.
So, this is Janeman Janeman. It was sung by Yesudas.
Okay. Wow, Ravi, I didn't spot any mistake. It was absolutely fantastic. Really, really wonderful. So I'm hoping that you'll be playing us a couple of more melodies through our show. right?
Sure.
This is definitely a very, very interesting Bangalore Brains happening live from the studios of FM Rainbow. Ravi is with me in the studios. If you have a question for him or you'd like to say hi to him, you can send me a WhatsApp. My number is 9480901013, or you can also call us on our studio lines. It's 222-81206, 222-81206. Ravi is right here. You can chat with him. You can ask him a question. And we'll be right back after this song. Keep it locked. This is FM Rainbow 101.3.
Akashvani FM Rainbow 101.3 Musically Yours.
Ravi, welcome back. There are tons of calls and messages coming in. The phone's beeping right now as well. People love what you're playing on air for us. Your first music composition, it's called Windswept, and you did that way back in the 80s, right? So how was this whole experience of composing music for the first ever time?
So you will not believe this. I remember distinctly, it was an afternoon. I was just lying down with the guitar on top of me and just playing some random stuff. I was not doing it with the intent of composing. I never even expected that I would be able to compose. That was like too big a term. So some tune emerged, and I realized after a couple of weeks that I was playing that, and it seemed to be developing. So this was how it was, and it never even had a name. And a couple of years later, when we were, I think, the 2 more years to finish college, I studied in Christ here. So when the classmates decided that we got to go and participate in every single event before we leave, because those are times when you don't know whether you're going to be in touch with your friends or not. No internet, nothing, right? So they said we should go participate, and I ended up giving my name for Western Solo, this song which didn't have a name, which I performed on stage.
Oh, all right.
And I think they didn't expect me to do that over there. I got the first place for that.
You got the first place for that. And why did you call it Windswept?
So this was named by somebody else who felt that it evoked those kind of emotions.
Right.
So I said, fine. And this naming also happened in Plaza Theatre.
Okay.
Three of my classmates, myself and 2 other class buddies, we were sitting in the middle of a movie. And then this person said that song, why can't we call it Windswept? I said, yeah, sure, done.
Wow.
I didn't name it.
So one lazy afternoon with a guitar on top of you, and then these notes start playing in your head, and that's how you composed it. Can we hear a few lines of it?
Sure.
I'm sure you had tons of female fans for this.
That's the acoustic version. For the studio version, of course, I had to add the electric guitar, one solo and stuff like that on that.
Wow, that sounded absolutely magical. Absolutely magical. Ravi, you've done a lot of interviews, and you've given a lot of interviews about the music that you're doing. In one of the interviews I heard, you said radio was one of your inspirations.
Yeah, because like I said, whatever music has entered into my head, as I said, 80% of it has been through radio.
Okay.
That's because if you were born in the 60s, like me, radio was the main medium.
Okay.
And TV came much later. Internet came much later. So, and the other thing I liked about the radio is I didn't have control over the playlist.
Okay.
So you ended up listening to what others chose. And I think that's a great blessing because you discover music through that process,
Wow. Yeah.
So I grew up listening to all kinds of music,
Yes.
all languages.
Right.
So which actually also influenced my decision to make only instrumental music, which I produce under the name of Instrumental Conversations.
Oh, okay.
Because I figured that I came across people who decide whether to listen to a song based on what language it is, which I find sad because music is music.
Yes.
So I figured if my music is all instrumental, more people would probably listen to it, give it a chance.
Absolutely.
So through Spotify, we get to see that our music
Yeah.
is being listened to in multiple countries in South America. We're not big, but it is spreading, maybe ones, twos, threes, but
Yes.
people are listening.
Absolutely.
If there was a language associated with it, I don't know whether it would have gone this place.
So the humble airwaves did have a massive impact on you.
Even now, I really
Even now.
feel like you can also concentrate on the sounds.
Right.
See, a lot of times we get carried away by the visuals.
Exactly.
So
80% of communication
Yeah.
is visual, and then you get so distracted.
it's like reading a book and watching a movie. You get to imagine when you read a book.
Right.
So same way, I think music has to be listened to
Okay.
rather than seen.
Fantastic. All right, I have Ravi live with me in the studios of FM Rainbow. We are talking about composing music. He's a music teacher himself. He's we heard a composition from his first album, Windswept. If you have any questions or you'd like to say hi to him, all you have to do is send me a WhatsApp message. It's 9480901013. I also have Ravi's wife, Gayatri. Next question is coming up for you, but we're going to take a short musical break since it's a family of musicians. There's a very interesting question coming up. Well, keep it locked. This is FM Rainbow 101.3 and I'll be right back. Welcome back. This is FM Rainbow 101.3 and yes, you are listening to Bangalore Brains where we chat with the smartest, the brightest and the sharpest of brains from Bangalore. And with me today, live from the studios is CA Ravi. He's the founder of Meedad Media. Gayatri, a question for you right now. How does a typical day look for your family? Because you run Raga School of Music as well. Ravi, your son has joined you too in Rahul, yes. Rahul has joined you too in composing music and you're a musician. So I'm very, very interested to know if all of you guys are walking, talking and drinking music all the time.
Hi, Bengaluru. It is not that we talk and walk music, but music is always around us. Like most of the days, like in case if some album is going to be launched, some new song, so we get to hear everything firsthand. So we start enjoying from that. Okay. And then later, when we go to the school, then we get to see a lot of students who do really well.
Okay.
And like some people, they come with zero expectation, especially the working professionals. They just come so that it is a stress buster. But after a couple of weeks, when they see what they are able to play, and they really, we are very, very happy.
Wow. So you must be a very, very happy woman because now, he shifted from corporates and corporate means late nights and travel and projects. Now he's always around. Just, I don't even think it's a call away.
Yes, definitely. And most of the time, like he comes home for lunch also.
Okay.
So we have a real good time. But there
okay.
are times like when he's really busy.
Uh-huh.
But I think it just goes on.
Okay, fantastic. Ravi, you had a caller just before we took this break and she was talking. She asked a very important question. What do people who do? Two things. One is they're passionate about something. Two is they don't have time to do that. Right? And you said something very, very interesting.
Her question was if somebody is very passionate and they don't get time to spend with the family, how do they balance that?
Okay.
Yeah, my spontaneous answer was that one is you keep people informed about what you are passionate about, if that's going to be the case.
Okay.
And if it's a kind of passion, like for example, if somebody is into, bring about some social change, you're going to help somebody else, you're probably outdoors most of the time. So as long as people around you know what you're up to, I think, and then when you get the chance to go back home and spend time with the family, make full use of that.
Okay.
I think it's a balance to everything. Also, there can be peaks. There can be a couple of days a month that you're extra busy, but it can't be like you're busy right throughout.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, it's like work, right? I mean, I spent a little over 20 years working in the corporate. We had music in every single organization that I worked in.
Okay.
Even while at Dell, which was probably my longest stint, about 6-7 years, we had at least one server rack filled with musical instruments.
Okay.
Always. So the idea was in between meetings or there is a meeting that got cancelled, rather than sitting in the cafeteria, we would get together and jam.
Wow.
So I think you can find ways.
You can find
But
ways.
I have another question that sometimes pops up amongst people is about they're passionate about something. I tell them to protect that passion because these days, especially if you're living in urban society, until and unless that passion can sustain you economically, you may have to end up sacrificing that.
Right.
That should never happen. So I think whether you like it or not, make sure that you have a regular day job.
Okay.
Keep working on developing your passion. Get it to the point where you can it can
safely,
sustain you.
Yeah,
right?
it can sustain you.
Yeah. So those are the two observations I have to make about being
Fabulous.
passionate.
Yes. I think that's a great tip. There are several messages coming in. There's one message from Shiv. First, he says, "Good evening. I've parked my car safely on the side of the road to send this message." He says, "It's wonderful listening to Ravi and hear him play the harmonica and the guitar. It's very inspiring. I wish I had done I wish I had done a little of what he has done. Now at the age of 63, I've decided to get myself a harmonica." And he's learning to play this wonderful instrument.
Thank you, Sudeep. It's very, very
Shiv,
humbling to know, Shiv.
Yeah.
Sir, I was just telling Sapna a while ago that the oldest person who I met who wanted to learn the harmonica was 68.
Wow.
You are still 5 years younger. So definitely you can learn. There's no upper limit on these matters in terms of age.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another message from Sudeep. He says, "Did you ever have a chance encounter with Kannada music industry with respect to compositions? Have you done work there?"
Not quite. I waited 30 years to be able to start recording, ideas that have already been in my head. And so which is why I rarely step out. It's been home, work.
Wow. Okay.
So now again, there are a couple of albums that are waiting since last March because of other commitments.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, the thing is, the moment you sign up to doing music for others, then you have to meet their expectations.
Okay.
And I think I probably want to give it a few more years before I get around to doing
Absolutely. Wish you very good luck for that. A lot of people are enjoying listening to your musical compositions.
Thank you so much.
Shall we play one more for them?
Yeah, maybe Raksha can join.
Yeah, sure. Raksha can sing. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
मैं तेनू समझावा कि ना तेरे बिन लगदा जी तू की जाने प्यार मेरा मैं करा इंतजार तेरा तू दिल तो यू जान मेरी मैं तेनू
Oh my God, you gave me goosebumps, and all this while she was sitting so quietly. So music runs in the family, in the DNA, in the blood. It's lovely. Raksha, you sounded absolutely beautiful, right? Time is just flying. Can you even believe it's 6:45 and we just have 15 more minutes. We have tons of messages that's coming in, but we're going to take a short musical break, Ravi, and we'll be back for a few more questions and to listen to a few more of your lovely compositions.
Sure thing. Thank you very much.
Okay, keep it locked. This is FM Rainbow 101.3 and giving you company is me, Sapna, all the way until 7. The time seems to just be flying. We just have 10 more precious minutes to be listening from Ravi and his beautiful compositions. With me in the studio live is CA Ravi. He is the founder of Medad Media. Ravi, welcome back. They say writers get a writer's freeze right? Do musicians get a music freeze or something like that? Does it ever happen that you get a freeze or you're thinking, what do I do next?
So those days are gone when the king would pull out a chain and reward the musician.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, but I think like in any profession, if your goal is to sustain yourself with that, I think you need to make some smart choices.
Okay.
You also need to, like any product or a service, you have to look at the need for whatever you are creating.
Yeah.
If the need is not there, no matter how good your product or service is, people may appreciate it. It's like getting a Facebook like,
Okay. There's
but
nothing
they may
more
not be
to
willing
it.
to pull out
Yeah.
their wallet.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't complain about that.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't have any expectations of any commercial returns from the music that I make. That allows me to focus on my music. It does not allow me to kind of look at, what is popular and then change.
Right.
So I'm pretty satisfied in that. I will look for other ways to compensate myself
Okay.
in order to survive.
Yes.
That's different.
Yes.
But
So music
otherwise,
is pure passion for you.
music is. So I gave myself 10 years for music. This is my 10th year.
Okay.
So it's going to go back and become a hobby again while I focus on a few other things.
Fantastic. So Bangalore is a sort of a music hub, and our city features all kinds of world music and all kinds of artists. It's like a haven for
Absolutely.
artists, right?
Absolutely.
To establish themselves. So where do you find yourself in this whole gamut? Do you find like Nemo? Yourself like Nemo? Or are you there?
Since I'm not competing with anybody, I don't have any expectations. I've never even felt that way. But I feel happy that I'm in Bangalore because, like you rightly pointed out, there's plenty of talented artists here.
Yes.
And I am in touch. In number of cases, these are people who walk into my store, either to get their instruments serviced or I get around to talking to them. And there are people who are much younger than me who've achieved a lot in terms of not only the original music that they produced, their commitment to this. And even in terms of entrepreneurship, I'm not the only person who's doing this. There are a number of people, right? In my own neighborhood, there are people doing wonderful things. So all that inspires me.
Okay.
I think I look at it as good learning grounds.
Right.
I never felt like Nemo.
Fantastic. You look like a shark to me, a shark of music, like totally big shark. You have an album, it's called Nature and Places, and you were telling me a very interesting story about a composition of yours called Birds of Munnar.
Which is what led to creation of that album. Yeah, so it was sometime in May. We were on a trip to Munnar. Early morning, we were woken up by the chirping birds and the crickets and a lot of, whatever noises nature can make, you could hear it. So we stepped out into the balcony and I began recording this on my phone, the sounds. My wife also stepped out and we got on talking and I said, I think I want to attempt making a song with these sounds as the main, melody behind it. That led to creation of Birds of Munnar.
Fantastic.
And then I said, okay, if that, can I take this forward and make it into an entire album? So I looked at all the places that we've been to. So in some cases, the beauty of the place has inspired that song. In some cases, it's again the sounds. Like there's a track called Erie Rotorua.
Okay.
Rotorua is a beautiful place in New Zealand. The sounds that you hear in that will be of the bubbling mud pools. It's volcanic. A lot of seismic activities there.
Okay.
I call it eerie because beautiful place, but then if you step into the wrong place, you're going to lose your life. It's like, for me, it's like people,
Right.
They can be deceptive. Some people look very trustworthy, but they're not.
Yeah.
So that song
it's very clear Mother Nature and elements from nature totally inspire. But do you have a role model or any person? Because that's a question from one of our listeners.
I have to be honest and say yes.
Okay.
So I was playing the guitar for many years, but not really knowing its potential till I got to hear Mark Knopfler's music.
Okay.
So Dire Straits, I would say that if there's one single person because of whom I kind of changed my entire perspective about music and, is
Your daughter says it's me.
she came much later, but yes. So I would say Mark Knopfler. I'm a big fan of Mark Knopfler.
Fantastic.
I mean, there's a whole lot of other musicians I like.
Okay.
But I think that was an eye-opener.
Excellent. One last question. We have to close it really quick because I'm not going to let you go with, you playing another tune for us.
Sure.
Standard question we ask is, what is your advice to youngsters or entrepreneurs who want to take your path from your experience?
So, okay. So I chose to become an entrepreneur, I would say, by getting to a point where I could minimize my risks. I already had a family. So it is like, changing vehicles when you are moving. It's like that. So there are dependents, right? So make sure that you have control over all your liabilities. And they're practically close to zero if possible. The only other thing that is in our control is our expenses, right? Yeah. Of course, food and that stuff is different, but buying phones, buying cars, buying whatever material assets, that's in our control. So we have to have a limit on that, and then you focus on what is required from a sustenance standpoint.
Right.
Now, then you can say you can take some risks. Now, for being an entrepreneur, I would say what probably most others will do, which is your idea has to be good.
Yeah.
Like I said, goes back to whatever product or service, there has to be a need for it.
Fantastic.
Right?
So create a need.
Yeah. And then if it's a service, I think you can differentiate yourself in the way you're providing that service.
Right.
But if you're into a trading kind of activity these days, you get beaten down by the price.
Okay.
So you have to make your choices based on all that.
Super cool. All right, Ravi, it was absolutely lovely to have you here.
Thank you so much.
One of the most exciting shows on Bangalore Brains. Wish you all the very best. Gayatri, thank you for coming. Raksha, thank you for being here.
Thanks a lot, Sapna.
Absolutely. If you can play us one last rendition, your favorite.
I would say My Kind of Place,
Okay.
the last track from Nature and Places.
Okay.
It's an imaginary track.
Done.
People can find the entire song on YouTube.
Okay.
I'll play the beginning of that.
Well, it's time for me to say goodbye, and it's a bye from all of us right here from the studios of FM Rainbow. I'll see you again at 7:02 on Meet Yade. I hope you've enjoyed our show today. Well, keep it locked. This is FM Rainbow 101.3, and you were listening to Bangalore Brains with me, RJ.
Akashvani FM Rainbow 101.3 MHz. Musically yours.